Yeah, what I'm about to show you is actually a YouTube post that I found. It's called Anecdotes of Barry Gibb. And what it does is one of the unforgettable shows that they ever did in their career as the Beegees was a show in Jakarta, Indonesia. And funny enough, that show in 1972, which I'm gonna show you here in a second, talks about a show they did in Jakarta, Indonesia in 1972, where my father, actually, when Barry talks about the promoter, who is a Westerner, an English guy that happened to be living in Indonesia, uh, promoted the show. And funny enough, my brother and I, and my mother and my dad were actually at the show. It was at the historic Senayan in Jakarta. I speak quite candidly now, it's not planned or anything. What happened was my dad had actually, in his defense, actually ordered a awning because he knew that it was the monsoon season, April. All the um, months in the Far East, or in that point, Indonesia, was going to be rain. So Indonesian style, as my father would always say, was that he ordered the awning. The awning never came. Long story short, the awning never came. They were playing an outdoor stadium in Istora Senayan, which was in the Russian-built stadium, which held 100,000 people. So when Barry says 60 to 70,000 people, he's actually correct in the statistics of the amount of people that actually showed up. There was 60,000 people there. The only mistake, the correction I should make, that he did was that Sukarno wasn't in power. In fact, Ali Sadikin, who was the governor of Jakarta at the time in 1972, who was friends with my father. Actually, they became good friends because he liked my dad, actually. Him and his family were at the show. It wasn't actually the promoter, who was my dad, who convinced them to go on stage. It was actually my mother speaking to Lulu, who was then Morris's wife, and what she went back to the boys and said, listen, please just go on. And they actually did the show, like he said, standing away from the mic, because the stage was flooded from the monsoon rain that hit. That was all correct. So they're backstage at the Istora Senayan Stadium, and they went on stage, and 60,000 people with only half power. The orchestra was only just minute, and they could only just do what they could do. But the full electricity of the band couldn't be put onto the stage because of the amount of water that was on the stage. So they basically almost sang acoustically. They had their guitars and they strummed. And I was at the time like 7 years old. I remember the show. It was sold out. But anyway, watch the Barry's take on it. It's actually really amazing, because it actually is really very close to what actually happened on the day. Oh, by the way, when they went through the tour of Jakarta, and that in the car that was open air and stuff, that was actually a Cadillac that my dad knew, a friend of his, that said, we'll take the Cadillac and then put the roof down, and then we'll take the Bee Gees on a tour of Jakarta so that all the people can see them. And funny enough, there was a 1971 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, and I'll never forget it, because I looked at this car and it was parked there, and I went, Dad, how come the steering wheel's on the wrong side? In other words, we all drove on the right side of the road, English style, and this car, and I'd never seen that before, because we were always used to getting into vehicles that were, anyway, this one was here and the shifter was there, and I found that completely. But anyway, watch the video and see what you think. It's amazing I actually found it, but here we go. Here we go.
We did a whole bunch of shows in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Australia, Japan. But the one particular show that stands out, obviously, is to us is Indonesia, because of the circumstances. They were so bizarre. I mean, they put us in a convoy through the city in Jakarta, sitting in the back of a car, open, with the army behind us, machine guns, everything. People waving at the side of the street, and rickshaws, and all this stuff, you know. So that was fantastic. And then the promoter turned out to be some Western guy, some English guy that happens to live in Jakarta and had been promoting concerts. And there was a monsoon coming, and we had a stadium with 70,000 people in it, and like a hurricane, you know. It was coming right through Indonesia. And the show must go on, you know. The promoter said, "Well, if the show doesn't go on, they're going to kill me." You know, this is the kind of country you're in, you know. You guys have got to do the show. So I said, "Oh well, okay, we're all right. We'll do the show." But we didn't know about the rain at that point. And we got to the gig. There's 70,000 people, 60 to 70,000 people, and anti-aircraft guns right around the stadium. You know, I thought, what are they for? You know, and we never really found out. But we just realised that it was a dictatorship and. Sukarno was still in power, and his family was at the show. So we're backstage, and suddenly the monsoon hits, and must have been 70, 80 mile an hour winds, and lashing rain. And within 5 minutes, the stage was in at least an inch of water, and we thought, we can't go on. This is crazy. There's how many thousand volts of electricity on that stage, and we had a 30-piece orchestra. It doesn't look possible at all, you know. The promoter comes up to us and says, "Listen, this is the deal. If your support group goes on and they come off alive, will you go on?" So,
That's Barry, man. He was classic.
You can't say better than that. It was an offer we couldn't refuse. We said, "Look, if you're willing to jeopardize someone's life," you know, I said, "Look, we don't think it's a good idea," and we could hear machine guns clicking all over the place. So, you can't go on. You have to go on. So we ended up going on, terrified, walking through the water on the stage. 30-piece orchestra at the beginning of the show, 2 violinists at the end of the show. They just sort of evaporated throughout the show. It was fantastic. There was Bill Shepherd conducting, and at the end of the show, he's conducting 2 people. And what we did was, in order to stay safe, is that we didn't go any closer to the microphones than that, because once you get that close, you're in real danger. And we were standing in water, so the whole show was terror-filled. You know, we didn't even know what we were singing. We just, let's get this over with, you know. But that was the story. Unforgettable. I mean, every group, I think, should endure something like that, because that's where the resilience comes in. That's where you learn.
And there it is. Yes. So yeah, that's his laugh. Barry's laugh is just so fantastic. Actually, at the end, when they finished the show, from hold on, let me just pause this.
They're made in freezing cold.
Okay. We all went back to the Hotel Indonesia, and they booked the restaurant. They closed the whole restaurant at like 10 o'clock at night, and they were all starving, obviously, and we all had dinner together. And I might post something else for the next story of what actually happened during dinner. It was even funnier. But anyway, cheers. Thank you. If you stayed to the end of this, thank you for watching. You're a true Beegees fan, as I am. Thank you. Bye.